Hey, my bad. Should I start over? Ha!
All right, my bad. I'm in. See, I told you it's the things I was saying while I was muted were brilliant, and I'm never going to be able to replicate how smart and great that opening was that I just had. But now you guys can hear me. God, that's embarrassing. Should I just start over? What's up? All right. So the Niners made 3 roster moves yesterday. I'm going to go over each one. They called up 2 safeties. They put a wide receiver on IR. I want to talk about this game. And then I want to talk about football philosophy in general, because that's the kind of stuff that makes me most interested. But let's start. And it's about pass rushers. I've been talking about how to build a defense for years. Do you want to do it through the back 7 or the front 7? Well, I want to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about Johnathan Cyprien. He is on the active roster today. He's been on the practice squad. He used to be a really good player. He's a vet. They called him up because Jaquiski Tartt can't play. I've heard some crazy rumors about that. Rumors on the street is that Jaquiski Tartt could get dealt to the Ravens for a 3rd-round pick if the Niners lose this game. If they win, they're going to keep Tartt, from the rumors I've heard on the street. It's just word on the street, guys. I don't know. So, okay, Tartt, his status on the Niners is up in the air. Why would the Niners trade him? Because if the Niners lose this game, I think they look at this game as they look at the season as lost. They're 3-4. Then they got to go to Seattle next week. That's a scheduled loss. 2 back-to-back road games, having to go to Seattle and play that team after a cross-country trip. The Niners don't know if they're contenders or pretenders right now. They're waiting to see from this game. If they win this game, from what I've heard, they'll keep their team together. If they lose this game, they might start selling off assets at the trade deadline, and Jaquiski Tartt is their main one. So that's the lead. That's what you guys need to know. That's what's at stake today. If the Niners lose this game, from what I've heard, they might start selling trade deadlines on the 3rd. So they haven't lost yet, and I think they're going to win this game, but what they got to do is win it without Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward, both of their starting safeties, not to mention Quan Alexander, DeForest Buckner, D Ford, Nick Bosa, Richard Sherman. Like 8/11ths of the starting lineup are out, and the Niners have to win this game. But let's focus on the safeties. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Seems clear that Marcel Harris is going to play. I mean, look, there's 3 guys: Tavarius Moore, Marcel Harris, Johnathan Cyprien. I think everyone expected Shanahan to just be like, yeah, Tavarius Moore, free safety, Marcel Harris, strong safety, end of story. Those are the 2 backups. But Shanahan was like, I got a surprise for you guys. We'll see. I'll let you know on game day. I'm not telling. It's like, really? Okay. So maybe he's just going to go with Moore and Harris and be done with it. And he was just being, he was just having fun with us. Or he doesn't want to play more. There's a reason he wouldn't say more. It seems like the Niners are real reluctant to play more. And I don't know why. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him, but they don't have a position for him. Remember, they drafted him to play cornerback. Jeff Hafley liked him. Said that's a safety in college who can play cornerback for me. Then Hafley's gone now. He's at Ohio State. And I don't know if there's any position coach on the Niners who's real invested in this guy. That's never good for a kid. But I think they like him in certain matchups. They played him in the Super Bowl. If they were playing the Chiefs today, I think he would start. If they were playing any team that was a pass-first team that liked to get the ball down the field, I think they would play more because he's a playmaker. He's terrific in coverage. He covers a lot of ground in center field, much more than Jimmy Ward, and he can break up passes and intercept passes. But if you watch the Patriots, that's not their offense at all. They're a run first and second and third offense, and then when that doesn't work, they throw a little dink and dunk pass to a running back or a wide receiver, Julian Edelman. So I don't see how Tavarius Moore helps you in this matchup. He's just going to be playing 15 yards, 20 yards past the line of scrimmage and doing nothing. I think what the Niners may want to do is put 2 strong safeties in the game, basically. Marcel Harris and Johnathan Cyprien, and play them both pretty close to the lines. If you notice, the Niners aren't playing a lot of single high anymore. It's a lot of split safeties, which is what Fangio did when he was the defensive coordinator here. He would basically play man free, which is man-to-man coverage with 1 deep safety and someone underneath as a spy or a rat defender or robber, someone just underneath taking away shallow stuff. Cover 1, man free, 2-man, which is the same thing with 2 deep safeties, and cover 4. That's what Fangio did. That was his rotation of coverages. That's what the Niners are doing now. You see very little cover 3. You see a lot of split safety, a lot of 2-man, a lot of cover 1 with blitzes and rat defenders and stuff. So if that's what they're going to do and play a lot of split safety, you don't need Tavarius Moore to cover all of center field by himself. What Fangio did was take Deshaun Goldson and Dante Whitner and play them both about 9 yards off the line of scrimmage. So in a sense, you had 9 guys in the box. You had 2 deep safeties, but they're not deep. They're within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. It's like, go ahead and try to run the ball now. You saw how hard it was to run the ball against Fangio those 4 years that he was here. So that's what we're seeing from the Niners. It's not the same. You don't need that guy to cover all that ground in center field anymore. You need 2 guys who can lay the wood and tackle against Cam Newton, who's 250 pounds. And I don't know if that's Tavarius Moore. Right? He's built like a corner. He could break. And really, the reason Tavarius Moore lost his starting job last season to begin with, he was playing well when Ward was out early in the year, was he takes the wrong angles to ball carriers in the middle of the field. When they it was Juju Smith-Schuster caught a ball, beat Keller Witherspoon. The free safety is supposed to be the eraser, but Tavarius Moore took the wrong angle, touchdown. The reason they like Jimmy Ward is he will never do that. He's a very strong, smart, sure tackler. And in this game, I can understand if they felt like, you know what, it's not the matchup for Moore. He could lose this game for us with 1 missed tackle. So let's start 2 strong safeties and keep Moore if we need him. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but it seems like that would make sense. It seems like that would make sense. All right. So let's talk about another safety they brought up. Jared Maiden. You guys might not know much about this guy. He played safety at Alabama. And he got undrafted. He played at a big time, what do you call it? A big time program, the biggest of the big time programs, played well, started for them, didn't get drafted. I saw him in training camp. You can kind of tell when players haven't been drafted, their body doesn't look the same. Like they're not as physically impressive. They don't look as strong. This guy looks like a day 2 pick. He's muscled up. He's quick. He's explosive. I'm surprised that he didn't get drafted. He looks like he looks like Tavarius Moore. I mean, he's not as big as Tavarius Moore, but he looks like a round 3 pick. Strong, quick, good athlete. And the way the Niners use him in camp was they used him all over the place. They used him at free safety, strong safety, nickel. And I thought he was at his best at nickel. Once the Niners started doing more man-to-man coverage, you could see which corners could handle that, and he was one of them. Jason Verrett was another. Jared Maiden, I think he is a better nickelback right now. And put it this way, he's better at covering slot receivers man-to-man right now than Jamar Taylor and Tavarius Moore and Jimmy Ward and everyone on the team other than K'Wan Williams, who's hurt. So I'm intrigued that they brought up Jared Maiden. I was surprised that he didn't make the team out of training camp. If you guys remember, when I was doing my 53-man roster predictions, I always put Maiden on it. Not Cyprian, Maiden. I thought he had a lot more upside, but I guess, he didn't play in preseason. No one saw it. The Niners felt they could stash him. Now he's up. And I wouldn't be surprised if he played in this game. Like, we don't know the inactives. He might be inactive. That'll be revealed to us like at 11:30, and maybe I'll come back on and talk about that stuff then. But right now, I'm thinking I would want to use him. Jamar Taylor is fine. Like the way Robert Saleh uses Jamar Taylor is cool. Like Saleh, Saleh loves the nickel blitz more than anything. It's his favorite thing. And it works for him. What he'll do is he's like the 3-card Monty guy. He's like trying to get your attention over here. He's like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm gonna blitz Tart. I'm gonna blitz Warner. Look over here. And then boom, these guys drop out and the nickel blitz comes from the other side. And it's like, aha, you didn't see it coming. And they don't. And Jamar Taylor's pretty good. He's had some sacks doing that. K'Wan Williams does that play so well. But really, other than that, he's not good in zone. He's not good in man, although he had that one pass breakup early in the game. I'm surprised Sean McVay didn't go back to that. It's like he saw one pass breakup from Jamar Taylor and was like, ooh, I don't like that matchup of Taylor and Cooper Kupp. I got to go away from that the rest of the game. Like, no. Jamar Taylor, just try him twice. You'll have success. So if that happens, they got to go to Maiden. I would go to him. He'd be the first nickel off the bench for me. Again, he went to Alabama if you want to watch some of his tape, but I don't think he has much tape covering the slot from Alabama. Juwan Jennings This is a guy the Niners drafted over Jared Maiden. Jared Maiden was an undrafted pick. Look, some of the undrafted guys the Niners had. Maiden, JaMycal Hasty, who already looks like a baller. And then you got 7th-round pick Juwan Jennings. This guy, who was the 2nd wide receiver they drafted. They only had 5 draft picks. They took 2 wide receivers. They took no cornerbacks. It's worked out so far. But they took no cornerbacks. They took no center. They took 2 wide receivers. And this guy ran a 4.7. A 4.7. That's really slow. Like, I'm faster than that right now. Not even stretching. I'm thinking. Okay, so everyone's like, all right. So he's slow, a slow wide receiver. But he's good. Wait. He's going to be like Anquan Bolden or something. And then he gets to training camp. And he's even worse. I mean, it's not just that he's slow and he can't get open in the NFL, but he's like dropping passes. He's 6'4". So when he's playing with CJ Beathard or Nick Mullins and it's 3rd and whatever, 9, 10, they're going to him because that's supposed to be his, his forte. He's the new Kendrick Bourne, theoretically. Red zone, 3rd down. He doesn't have to be open. Just throw it to him. He'll catch the ball. He doesn't do that. And not only that, like, he'll run the wrong route frequently. The ball will go here. He'll go somewhere else. And I'm guessing he's the one making the mistake because even CJ Beathard has been on this team 4 years. When CJ Beathard makes a read, I trust that it's probably the right one. The ball doesn't go where it's supposed to go. But he pretty much knows the offense. So does Nick Mullins, Juwan Jennings. It was a disastrous training camp. Now he's on IR. It was pretty much a wasted rookie year. But, the Niners have had that with other guys. They had Tim Harris Jr., did nothing, the cornerback from last year. I don't write the guy off yet, especially because the Niners have had such success developing day 3 and undrafted rookies. But this guy, if you'd seen him in person, you'd know what I'm talking about, man. He didn't flash whatsoever. He had a couple of days where he maybe caught a pass in the red zone or something like that, but he had a lot of days where he dropped the ball or he ran the wrong route or he just couldn't get open. So starting to question Kyle Shanahan's ability to scout wide receivers. It seems like when Wes Welker joined the squad, that sort of changed the Niners scouting outlook of wide receivers. They went from taking really skinny guys like Trent Taylor, small guys, Trent Taylor, Dante Pettis, Richie James Jr. Then Wes Welker comes in and they start taking tanks. I mean, wide receivers who were bigger than their running backs, Jalen Hurd, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings. I think that's clearly a Wes Welker preference, toughness. The opposite of Dante Pettis. I get the feeling that Dante Pettis is in Wes Welker's doghouse as much as Kyle Shanahan, if not more. Really, as soon as Wes Welker came to this team, Dante Pettis was done. And remember, Wes Welker they couldn't be more opposite. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but they couldn't be more opposites as wide receivers. Wes Welker was like the late round draft pick who shouldn't have had a career, wasn't a deep threat. All he had was toughness to go over the middle and quickness. Catch the ball, break a tackle, take a hit. That was him. Play, return punts, take a hit. Play with zero fear. That's Wes Welker. Dante Pettis isn't like that. He's played with fear since he got in the league. He doesn't like going over the middle. The speed of the game seems a little bit to him, but he's been a playmaker. I mean, he made big plays his rookie year. He's a downfield threat. If you get him outside the numbers and space, he's dangerous. But that's not the Niners offense anymore. It's not what Wes Welker did. It's not what Jimmy Garoppolo throws. I don't know how I got on this subject. Anyway, Juwan Jennings is more of the Wes Welker mold, and he stinks. I'd rather have Dante Pettis than Juwan Jennings. I'd rather have Richie James Jr. than Juwan Jennings. Okay, so this brings me into my next topic. I think it's interesting that the Niners are still trying to figure out what their wide receivers are and who the good ones are. So what I want to say in this game is keys to the game. First of all, don't you dare throw the ball to Trent Taylor. Don't play Trent Taylor. Trent Taylor should be inactive. I don't want to see him returning punts. I don't want to see the Trent Taylor fair catch. I don't want to see the Trent Taylor 4-yard out route. Enough, man. This guy's gotten 11,000 second chances. He was good as a rookie. He had major back surgery. He had major foot surgery. He had no margin to lose any athleticism. He's lost a fair amount. He's 5'7", 170. Enough. There's so many players who deserve targets and playing time over him. And if you keep playing him, trotting him out there, it could cost you a game. Because every time he gets a target, it looks like it's almost picked. Like whatever route he's supposed to run, he runs it 2 yards shorter. The timing's off and the ball's behind him. And then the quarterback gets blamed. No. It's happened too many times with Trent Taylor. He needs to get the Dante Pettis treatment. Inactive. Players I'd like to see get playing time ahead of him. Dante Pettis. The Niners say they want to trade him. How do you trade a guy after killing his trade value? Do they even want to trade him? Or did Dante Pettis ask for a trade and they're like, all right, well, I'll put you on the block and just show you that no one likes you? I don't know. Usually when a team wants to trade a guy, they give him like a token play or two. Maybe the Niners feel that if they play him, it's more likely that he does something bad or gets hurt than does something good and his value goes down. That's fair. I would like to see players who deserve playing time over Trent Taylor. Dante Pettis, Richie James Jr. I would say Richie James Jr. deserves playing time over both of them. Richie James Jr. is only used as a punt returner. Whenever he gets an opportunity in the offense to catch a pass, it's like a 30-yard gain. And then he'll go like 12 months without getting another opportunity. That's whack. The scientific term for that treatment of Richie James Jr. is whack. It's whack, guys. I don't like it. He needs to get more opportunities. He's a playmaker. Trent Taylor is not. Even if Trent Taylor catches the ball, does the impossible and gets open and catches the ball, he's not going anywhere. Richie James Jr. might. So these are things, Kyle, I know you watch. And plus, the game doesn't start for like 4 hours. So take notes. Don't you dare play Trent Taylor. Find a role for Richie James Jr. in your offense. But then again, you don't have matchup advantages, your wide receivers against the Patriots corners. I'm going to get to this, but the Patriots build their defense back to front. You build front to back. So the Patriots' strength is their corners. They don't have just one good one. They have 3 good ones plus good backups. So Deebo Samuel does not have a matchup advantage. Brandon Ayuk, no matchup advantage. Kendrick Bourne, no matchup advantage. They're going to be covered man to man, and it's going to take them a while to get open if they ever get open. So what the Niners need to do is find other people to throw. I've been talking about this all week if you've been watching my stuff. You got to spread the ball around. Kittle ain't going to be open. He's going to get bracketed. They're going to leave everyone else covered one-on-one, man-to-man, and you got to find the guys who have the matchup advantage. It won't be Deebo. It won't be Ayuk. It won't be Bourne. But it'll be a lot of other guys. Like Kyle Juszczyk. If he seems like the most underused, underrated player on the team. And when Kyle Shanahan commits to using Juszczyk and featuring him in a game plan, the Niners blow teams out because he's just the guy teams can't account for. He can run deep. He can run the little option routes over the middle. He can block. He can run. He's a good ball carrier. He's so underused. So again, players who need more touches than Trent Taylor. Trent Taylor has more touches this season than Kyle Juszczyk. How about that? That's the truth. Juszczyk needs to get the ball. Ross Dwelly. He is just like Richie James Jr. Every time these guys get the ball, they do good things. Every time. They bail this team out when they're down to like their 4th tight end or their 4th wide receiver and they need a play. They go to Richie James, touchdown. They go to Ross Dwelly, first down. 4th and 2, throw to Dwelly, gain of 10. Like, Dwelly really bailed out the Niners against the Giants. They had no Kittle. Jordan Reed went out, backup quarterback in the game. Really no one he felt super comfortable throwing to. Dwelly comes in and catches 4 of 4 targets for like 60 yards. He was a stud in that game. He was one of the best players on their team in that game. And you know how many targets he's gotten since then? Nada, nair, nada. He has gotten nada, nair, nada target, which means 0. He gets like 2 snaps a game and they make him block, which is his weakness. I don't get that. It's like, whoa. We made Ross Dwelly look too good. Let me spend the next 3 weeks making him look awful. Ross, bro, you really show something catching passes, getting open. So we're not going to do that with you. We're going to ask you to block by yourself on an island, outside linebackers, defensive ends. Good luck. And when you mess up, then we can say, hey, well, that's why we're not throwing him the ball, because he can't block. In the red zone, Kyle, if you call another play for Trent Taylor and not Ross Dwelly, I'm going to put you back on the hot seat. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to put you back on the hot seat. I'm not messing around. I am not messing around. Jed York clearly listens to the things I say and suggest. I told him to stay in the owner's box last week. Did he leave? Did he? Ha! Better watch out. Better watch out. So, yeah, spread the roll around. And then on defense, what's the key to the game for the Niners defense? It's the same key every week, okay? Keep the quarterback in the pocket, make him play quarterback, which to me is such a fascinating thing. It's all I ever say. And when you look around the league, all the best pocket passers are retired. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady's still around. Ben Roethlisberger's still around. Drew Brees still around, but they're going out. Like the best quarterbacks right now are guys who are athletes, who are at best outside the pocket, throwing on the run, feet not set, not going through progressions, just winging it. Their escapability is a better asset than their accuracy. I mean, Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. He's inaccurate. Cam Newton is the prototype modern NFL quarterback. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. If you could just keep him in the pocket and say, hey, buddy, play the position. Go through your progressions. No ad-libbing, no improv, no extending the play. Just stay in the freaking pocket, read the coverage, find an opening, make an accurate throw. He can't do that. And a lot of these quarterbacks in the league can't do that. So that brings me back to, how do you build a defense in 2020? For about 10 years, I've been saying, look, guys, you got to build it back to front, because the way modern NFL offenses are evolving, they're neutralizing pass rushes. The quick passing game was part of it. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, you can never touch those guys. But what you're seeing now is not so much a quick passing game, but athletes at quarterback. Guys who want to get outside the pocket. Guys who are waiting for the pass rusher to get a little too aggressive and lunge at him and give up the edge or the B gap. And so now you can get into ad-lib mode, recess mode, scramble mode, and abandon the structure of the play and just, wing it. That's what a lot of these young quarterbacks want to do. So really, when you talk about like pressures, they always, like, PFF's giving off the defensive lineman credit for pressures. Hey, you disrupted the quarterback. You flushed him out of the pocket. Is that good? Flushing a quarterback like Cam Newton out of the pocket, is that a good thing? I don't think so. If I were the defensive coordinator, the point of emphasis this week would be keep him in the pocket. I don't want him flushed out. I would want Tom Brady flushed out. Yes, I want Cam Newton in that sucker. Play the position, buddy. I don't want you running out of the – and same thing with Carson Wentz a few weeks ago. He made all these great throws, rolling to his right, rolling to his left. Dude, just play the position, man. Stay in the pocket. Depend on your offensive line. Depend on your brain to go through to read a defense correctly and go through your progressions, please. So if that's what you're seeing, if that's what you're getting weekly, athletes at quarterback position who can't read defenses well, who aren't particularly accurate, who want to get outside the pocket, why are you spending all of your resources on guys who flush a quarterback out of the pocket? Why? Doesn't make sense to me. Look at the Niners defense right now. They've lost all their pass rushers. They're all gone except for Armstead. Their pass rush stinks right now. It's terrible. The only way they generate pressure is through blitzing. And yet the defense is still fantastic. It's still top 5. Why? Because coverage is more important. If all these quarterbacks were pocket passers, then look, sure, bring in the pass rushers, disrupt them, move them off their spot, make them be more than just statues. But we're not seeing statues at the position anymore. We're seeing guys who are waiting for the B gap to open up, waiting for just one pass rusher to be undisciplined and greedy, and they're gone. Those are the best quarterbacks in the league. So really, it seems like what you need from your defensive line is just, hey, hold your spot. Don't let him leave the pocket. Cage him in. How much do you need to spend for players to do that? It's like you're telling him, like, don't get the sack. If he runs into you, take the sack. But keep him in that pocket, man. I'd rather him play quarterback than get harassed. I don't care if he's under pressure. I don't think he's a good quarterback, whether he's under pressure or not. I want him in the pocket. And that's the same coaching point every week, unless if you're playing like Jared Goff. And those guys are dinosaurs. So I think it's really interesting. There's all these reasons why you need to have 7 guys in the back end who are really good in coverage, who can cover man-to-man in zone. Otherwise, you're going to get diced apart. There's so many ways to neutralize the pass rush. That's the way I look at it. The Niners, all of a sudden, Quan Alexander's out. You got Dre Greenlaw in, who's better. Fred Warner, who's one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. Jason Verrett, who's playing like the best player on the team right now. He's having an all-pro season. Emmanuel Mosley, who's more than solid. And the defense is great. They can cover. They can cover. So now all Armstead, Kinlaw, Hyder have to do, keep that sucker in the pocket. If he tries to bail, chase him down. Make Cam Newton be Tom Brady. Make Cam Newton be Jimmy Garoppolo. He can't do that. Now, with Jimmy, if you're facing a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, you're not saying, "Hey, just cage him in the pocket and make him." No. You want to hit him. But there's just not that many quarterbacks like that anymore. Every other week, it's like athlete. Be cognizant, contain them, don't be over aggressive. That's where the league is going. And if you get all these guys that are quicker than the pass rushers that they go against, and their skill is extending plays and turning it all into ad lib improv, you need as many guys who can cover as possible, and not just corners, safeties and linebackers too. And that's what the Niners have all of a sudden. Last year, it was all pass rush. Their DB stunk. Richard Sherman was so overrated. He could only play zone, no man-to-man coverage. And if you could get past this defensive line, just create a little bit of time, evade. And the thing is, you could, like Nick Bosa, great player. He'll whiff. He'll slip and fall. He'll come close and miss. He's the pressure king. He didn't have 15 sacks. He had 9 and a bunch of pressures. So if you come close and miss, and now the guy's scrambling, like who's locking anyone up? In the secondary, no one. Now you got guys like Jason Verrett who can actually cover for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Greenlaw can cover for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Keep that in mind, guys. I don't see how drafting a 300-pound defensive tackle at 14 in the first round helps you against a mobile quarterback. Javon Kinlaw is never going to catch a guy like Kyler Murray, who he has to face twice a year, or Russell Wilson, who he has to face twice a year. It's just not feasible to ask a 300-pound man to run like that. He's there to stop traditional runs between the tackles. How many of those do you even see anymore? Game is changing. The Niners better never spend a top 15 pick on a defensive tackle who's more of a run stopper than a pass rusher. If you're taking a defensive tackle in the top 15, he needs to be Buckner. He needs to be coming off a 10-sack season in college and show like 4 different moves ready to go. Not like an athlete with potential who might put it together down the line. No. You need secondary players, linebackers. Okay? Anyway, so that's my football philosophy course of the year. I've been making the case for back 7 over front 7 for a decade, and people are always like, "No, Grant, no, you're wrong." And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to give up this argument ever. I know I'm right, and I'm going to stick with it until the end of time, and now I feel validated. I mean, look at the Niners. They've lost every pass rusher, and everyone's like, well, their defense is going to stink now. It's hopeless. Nope. It's elite. Why? Because it can stop the run, and it can cover. Those are the 2 most important things. Pass rush can be manufactured by a good defensive coordinator, and the Niners do. They have Robert Saleh. His 3rd down blitz packages are elite. If you don't believe me, watch the film yourself or just watch my film. I show it every week. You can manufacture coverage. This is something that Bill Belichick has understood for years. Why didn't he keep Chandler Jones, the best edge rusher in the league? Cardinals have him. Are they ever good? No. The Patriots lost him. Did they fall apart? No. Coverage is more important. You can manufacture pass rush. Guys, you learned something today. The identity of the Niners went from pass rush to coverage, and they're a better defense because of it. I mean, obviously, if they still had Nick Bosa and Forrest Buckner and Dee Ford, they'd be an even better defense. But the fact that they've changed the emphasis to a team that can actually cover and is not totally dependent on 4 guys to get to the quarterback makes them better. And if these guys ever come back, they will be historically good. But I don't know if Nick Bosa is ever coming back, because this is the team full of setbacks. Okay, real quick, last topic. I've seen someone asking this, and I haven't addressed it. The comments come in real fast, and I miss a lot of them. I'm sorry. But so I was just talking about pass rush. They don't have one. They need some guys to come back. Ronald Blair's supposed to come back. Julian Taylor's supposed to come back. They were both like on track to be healthy week 1. They both suffered setbacks or something. And now it's like, well, maybe after the bye week, maybe week 12. That's too bad because Ronald Blair right now would be this. He'd be a starting defensive end. Like on third down, if he were healthy, the D ends would be Kerry Hyder, Ronald Blair, and the D tackles would be Eric Armstead and Kinlaw or Jones or Givens. I don't think there's really a difference between those three right now. It's a rotation. But that's not a bad D line. I mean, Ronald Blair is so much better than Deion Jordan. It's not even close. The thing about Deion Jordan, he's not good for starters. 2, he doesn't even do his job correctly. Like he's the guy frequently making assignment mistakes, which is unreal because he's been in the league for like 6-7 years. Ronald Blair is the guy who always does his job correctly, always. When I would watch film of him and Nick Bosa last year, obviously Nick Bosa is more athletic and better. But just when you watch like what they're supposed to do, how they're coached, how they do the techniques the coaches have given them, how they defend the run, Ronald Blair does everything picture perfect. Everything the way the coaches tell him to do it. He's not as athletic as Bosa. So Blair was Bosa's backup. When Bosa would come out of the game, the defense wouldn't fall off entirely. In fact, their run defense would improve because as strong as Bosa is, he was a rookie and he would get fooled by things like reverses or misdirection plays, things that typically fool rookies. Nothing against Bosa. Blair was just the vet who had seen everything and would play those plays perfectly. So Kerry Hyder's similar. Kerry Hyder, you can't run a reverse in his direction. You can't fool him. He's just locked in, a vet. That's Ronald Blair. If they ever get him back, they'll be a much better defense. But as I said, at this point, the way I look at defensive linemen in 2020, they're platoon players. You know, you get your pass rushers, you get your your run stuffers. They're all easy to find. You can get run stuffers after the draft, like Kevin Givens. All it takes is a year to develop. No problem. DJ Jones, what was he? 6th-round pick? Easy. And then pass rushers, you can get guys. Look at the Patriots. Their pass rusher right now is Chase Winovich, 3rd-round pick. A guy who's too small to play against the run. They're just platoon players. But you can't platoon linebackers. You can't platoon corners. Those guys play 100% of your snaps. They better be really, really freaking good. Not some 5th-round pick. You know? So I think that's all I got. Hey, Hoover, Alabama. How you doing? Good to see ya. If you guys got a question, I can answer one question. But I feel really, really vindicated that I've been saying coverage over pass rush for 10 years, and everyone's like, no. Okay. I'm telling you, the game is evolving. You got to stick with that. You got to look at what works. If all these quarterbacks are more comfortable outside the pocket than in it, if they're more comfortable running than throwing, then make them throw. Then maybe pass rush isn't what you need. Maybe pocket containment is the concept that you're looking for from your defensive end lineman, not pressure. Pressure is a tricky word. Pressure is not always good. You know what I'm saying? There's context. Pressure in Carson Wentz was the wrong move. He had no wide receivers who could get open within 2 or 3 seconds and no offensive lineman who could block. Just keep him in that sucker. Keep him in that sucker and see what happens. And no, they couldn't. They did constantly let him go. And he's holding it. It's 4 seconds, it's 5 seconds, and he makes this unreal throw while rolling to his right off 1 foot. It's like, well, yeah, that's why he was the 2nd pick in the draft, because he's an amazing athlete. But the success of a pocket passing offense is not just on the quarterback. It's on the offensive line, the receivers, the play caller, the play designer. It's like the whole 11, 12 guys working together, making sure they can do that. I'm just repeating myself now. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go have some breakfast and watch the early games. And then cover this game. But I'm still waiting for the Niners to hire me. As you guys say, they're probably going to hire me pretty soon as a consultant because I mean, you listen to me. I got all the answers. And if you missed what I said about Jared and Maiden, it's at the beginning. So I'm going to leave and you guys can watch a replay. I went Cyprian, Jared Maiden, Juwan Jennings, a Trent Taylor rant, every player who deserves playing time over Trent Taylor, and how roster construction on defense has changed in 2020. All right, guys, take care.